The reason why Harry's swallow tattoos, or his bird tattoos, the reason why those are my favorite tattoos of Harry's is because I think that's a huge metaphor of Harry and Louis's relationship. I think that's something that just describes their whole relationship, like its foundation, what the relationship is based off of. Like, we've all heard that expression, if you love something, you would let it go, you would set it free. But if you also love something, you'd be willing to let it come back to you. And usually the bird is a symbol of that expression, because a lot of people reference that to a bird leaving its cage and finally being free from the cage, not being trapped. So I feel like this is definitely a huge symbol of Harry and Louis's relationship. I think it really has to do with Harry loving Louis so much that he let him go, he let him be free, and not permanently, by the way, just like temporarily. He wanted Louis to like figure himself out, experiment, just go out a little bit, see who he really is. Because I think Louis was the one in the relationship who just wasn't really sure who he was, whereas Harry was the one in the relationship who knew his sexuality, or he knew what he wanted. And I think they were just on different pages. I think Harry and Louis had different agendas. They were both on different pages. They wanted different things, and that was making it very hard in the relationship. There was a lot of tension. I think Harry loved Louis so much that he let him free, but also Harry loves Louis so much that he probably told him, if you ever want to come back, I'll still be here with open arms. So even if Louis and Harry are on a temporary break right now, I am sure they're still in the position where they still love each other, and Harry would be more than happy to have Louis come back to him. And I'm pretty sure Louis might find out later on that that's how it's supposed to be, or that's how it was meant to be. I think right now Louis is still trying to figure himself out, and maybe Louis is in the point of his life right now where he'd rather do things that are easier. Because, you know, coming out, being gay, being open, that can be really hard, and I can speak of that from experience. So maybe Louis wants the easy path in life. Maybe he just wants what's easier, and that's being public with a girlfriend, appearing straight. But you can't live like that your whole life. So I think Louis just needs time to find himself, and later on down the road, he'll find out that he can't live like that anymore. He will be that bird that did get set free, but will soon return back to his home, which is Harry. And I think that's beautiful, and that's why I think that Harry's birds, or his swallows for his tattoos, I think that's a huge metaphor or symbol of Larry's relationship. And that's why I love it so much. And I'm pretty sure Louis and Harry's other tattoos can explain that whole situation as well. So yes, it's kind of depressing, but sometimes real life situations and love can be depressing, but more hopeful. Like, Larry is a very hopeful thing. Larry is not a happy thing. It's not all rainbows. It's more hopeful, and obviously there's a lot of bravery that goes into it too. And that's just how I view Larry at the moment. I'm not saying they broke up, but I'm also not saying that they are 100% like together. I think they have a situation right now where they don't hate each other, obviously, like the media is trying to make us feel like. I feel like they're on good terms, but I feel like they're content with the way things are right now. I think at the end of the day, Harry will be happy with whatever Louis chooses to do with his life, because maybe how Harry sees it is like, if Louis is happy, then I'm happy. Which is true, like if you love someone, then their happiness should, I guess, be your happiness, even if you don't fully accept it. If anything, the message of this video was not supposed to be depressing. It shouldn't be viewed as depressing. Again, it should be viewed as hopeful. I think Louis and Harry are fine at the moment. I think they're both just trying to focus on their careers, focus on their music, and not on that whole relationship thing. Because maybe that's what was stressing them out and tying them down in the first place. Maybe that's what made them so sad and angsty. So before anti say that Larry's ruined the relationship, maybe consider an idea of Larry ruining their own relationship. Like, I don't think teenage girls can ruin two men in a relationship. Like, I highly doubt it. I feel like whatever's going on between Louis and Harry, they're in control of their own relationship, so whatever happens, either positive or negative, that's on them, not on us. If anything, us Larrys might have just made them come to the realization that they did like each other, okay? Like, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, even if it's not 100% going on right now, I feel like they will always love each other like forever, and that won't ever change. You know, always in my heart, Harry Styles, yours sincerely, Louis Tomlinson. Louis wrote that for a reason, and he didn't delete the tweet. So yeah, before you guys start doubting Larry, or if you guys are doubting Larry currently, just remember that Harry and Louis probably just let each other go temporarily, just to figure shit out, just to focus on their music career, but they're still willing to come back to each other in the future. Like, they're still open to that idea. They're still open to that feeling. I'm sure that feeling hasn't even gone away for them. I feel like in terms of health reasons and therapeutic reasons, they had to take a break. Because again, if you're around someone for a long time, that can destroy a relationship as well. People need space for a relationship to work out. Because Harry and Louis were in a band together and they hung out together 24/7. And that's very strenuous when you're putting work life mixed with personal life. And we all know Harry. He said he likes to compartmentalize. He likes to keep his work life and personal life separate. But think about it. If he was with Louis, how was he keeping those two things separate? Louis was his work life and Louis was his personal life. And keeping those two things separate can be very, very hard, especially when you have all the fans speculating and talking about it all the time. So if you just consider it with that, it's really not that sad. It's kind of just more realistic. It's what couples actually go through every single day. I don't know. This whole theory just makes sense to me because it's the most realistic I can be about Larry. This is my most realistic theory out of everything I've ever said on my channel, on Twitter, anywhere. Because I can't just sit here and say, yeah, Larry's 100% real, but I also can't say Larry's 100% fake. So that's what I think what's currently going on. I feel like the whole Louis and Eleanor thing, that's not gonna last. Even if Louis feels like he does like her right now, even if she's not a beard, even if she's not getting paid, I don't see Louis and Eleanor lasting. I really don't. And, you know, even if another female comes after Eleanor, it will be the same old shit. He'll probably just date her for a year. I feel like in the end, though, Louis is either going to be with Harry or a guy. But you know what? At the end of the day, I don't want to sound like I know all the answers because I don't want to lead anybody on. So if something else happens, don't blame me. It was just a theory. I just think Louis and Harry, there's a lot to it. There's many layers. There's a lot of gray area. And it's a little bit more complicated than what we might think. Maybe it's even complicated for Louis and Harry. Maybe they don't even understand their own relationship, and that's probably why they took like a temporary break. I just think Harry respects Louis and his decisions, and Harry respects that Louis wants space and that Louis wants to figure out himself. So Harry will wait for Louis. And I think that's beautiful because it's all revolved around hope and bravery as well. I think it's beautiful if Harry respected Louis so much and loved him so much that he let him go. Let him explore, let him find himself. But also he's willing to let Louis come back if he wants. Like, he's holding that place for Louis and he'd let him come back with open arms. Again, don't know if this is actually what's happening, but I'm trying to be realistic about it. So if you guys have any thoughts about Louis and Harry's current situation, or if you still believe in it, if you're still having doubts, whatever, write any thoughts you might have about this down below. Bye.